What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a post-game edition of Coming Off the Bench, I guess is a way to put it. But the Browns win 13-6 here against the Pittsburgh Steelers in what can be classified as probably Shedeur Sanders' best game as a Cleveland Brown. Yes, I understand he threw 2 interceptions, but from what I saw in this game, I really liked what I saw from Shedeur Sanders today. I think this was his best game that he's had as a pro. And those 2 interceptions, the first one, I'm not going to kill him. The first one, Cam Robinson, we're going to be talking about him in a minute. But the pressure was coming against Shedeur. He stayed still in the pocket. Cam Robinson gets blown up. Shedeur gets hit as he threw the ball. And, gets tipped by the defensive lineman. That's a play that you're going to see a lot. But again, I think that's a play. It's just good defense and caused by pressure from the defensive line from the Steelers. To me, this was Shedeur Sanders' best game. He had 2 throws where you could say definitively that those were awful decisions. The one near interception by, I think it was Alex Highsmith. Again, the problem with Shedeur is that when they go back into drop coverage, he doesn't necessarily see the extra defender. He tried to go and throw it to the tight end and by the boundary, and he almost got an interception that would have been a pick 6. Then the other one, the most egregious throw of the day, obviously, was the throwing off of the back foot, and again, drifting backwards in the pocket, throwing off the back foot to Jerry Jeudy. That ball hung up in the air forever, and it got intercepted. That was by far the worst part of Shedeur Sanders' day. But again, to me, this was by far and away Shedeur Sanders' best game as a Cleveland Brown. There were a lot of throws in the first half especially where you just go, there's obvious talent here, guys. There's obvious talent here. This dude can play if he can put everything together, if he can limit the turnovers. There's something there with Shedeur Sanders where you can say he could probably be a very good NFL quarterback if everything is put together. My issue, though, is that the second half of games continues to be a concern. He always starts out strong in the first half, and then the second half is always a very big issue. I don't know if he just can't adjust to the defenses right now or what, but Shedeur Sanders always plays well in the first half, and in the second half he struggles. That's also a main concern for me. But to me, by far, this was his best game as a pro. He showed you a lot of good decision-making in that first half. He was rifling throws in. Jerry Jeudy had his best game of the season with Shedeur Sanders as his quarterback. I mean, let's be honest here. Jerry Jeudy had like 6 catches. He had 6 catches today, I think. I could double check, but Jerry Jeudy was even catching the football. And to me, Shedeur did enough to convince me that maybe there can be something there that can be improved upon if he's given a shot in the 2026 season. I understand people are going to be pointing out the 2 interceptions. I understand people are going to be pointing out, that of course that interception that he threw off of his back foot obviously was an awful, awful decision by him. But I think that there are a couple throws, especially some throws into tight coverage, where Shedeur just put it on, on the money to, a couple of dig routes, some slants, everything. And he looked like a competent NFL quarterback. And I think that with time and a better offensive line and maybe some weapons around him, you can see some success. Now, do I think that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback or lead a team to a Super Bowl? No, I don't. I don't think so. But there was enough that he showed for me today where I'm more comfortable of the idea of giving him a chance to see what he can do with better pieces around him. And that leads me to the offensive line. We need to talk about the offensive line. Cam Robinson is legitimately one of the worst offensive linemen I have ever seen play football. He is a horrible offensive tackle. He is terrible. That offensive line needs a complete rework. Joel Bitonio, it's from all indications from what everyone was saying before the game started, this is probably his last go-around in Huntington Big Field. He's probably gone. You got Wyatt Teller, who's a free agent. He may not come back just because he's getting older. Ethan Posick, same thing. You got Luke Whippler playing right now. Cornelius Lucas, he's out. Tevin Jenkins is out. I mean, KT Levinston, awful. Cam Robinson is like on another plane of awful. That dude is freaking horrible. He is awful. And Shedeur Sanders, that first interception, like I said, Shedeur Sanders got pressured by the guy who Cam Robinson was blocking. I forget who it was off the top of my head, but Shedeur got hit as he threw the football. It got tipped by the defensive lineman on the opposite side of the Steelers' defensive line. That was just a good play by the defense, by the Steelers' defense. And Shedeur got hit as he threw. I'm not going to put the first one on Shedeur. The second one, obviously, is on Shedeur. That's Shedeur's fault. But, again, Cam Robinson, that offensive line is just so bad. You gotta get at least two or three more. You got to get two or three more offensive linemen in this draft. But I think if you have Shedeur Sanders, if you give him some protection, I think maybe you see some of these interceptions go away, honestly. We got to talk about the running game. The running game actually was pretty decent. Rocket Sanders looks pretty good. Travion Williams, or I forget his first name, but Williams, that dude, he can also play. So the running game looked pretty decent. Dylan Sampson had some good moments as well. So the running game was pretty decent for you in this game. But that offensive line stuck out like a sore thumb, man. I mean, God, that Cam Robinson especially stuck out like a sore thumb. I don't know what the Browns saw in Cam Robinson to warrant trading for him, but my God, dude, that guy cannot be on this team again next year. So, again, what I saw from Shedeur today, I was very impressed. In the first half, at least. Let me preface that. I was very impressed from what I saw from Shedeur Sanders in the first half. There were some throws that he made in that first half where I'm like, this dude can play. He can play. And if you can get him an offensive line and some better weapons, because right now, with this win, the Browns dropped 2 spots. So now they're picking fourth, or they may have dropped a spot. They're picking fourth now, from what I last saw in Tankathon. So you got the 4th overall pick. Let's say Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, they go 1 and 2. That puts you in prime position to take, Jordan Tyson from Arizona State or a Carnell Tate from Ohio State. You're now putting yourself in prime position to take a top tier wide receiver that you desperately need here on this offense. You could also try, you want to get a guy like Francis Mauigoa from Miami or a Spencer Fano from Utah, you can go and try and do that as well. But to me, this game showed that Shedeur Sanders has potential. There's something there with the dude. I think if he just cleans up his decision making, if he can limit the turnovers, if he gets better offensive linemen to protect him, and more weapons that get open more consistently than the current weapons that you have right now, I think you can have a team that may not be Super Bowl contenders, but I think they're going to be a team that's going to be competitive. I think it's a team that can be competitive. And I think that's what the Browns need right now. If they can go into this draft and you get 2 wide receivers, let's say you get a Carnell Tate, and then in the second round, you get a Casey Concepcion. To me, that's perfect. And then you can get an offensive lineman with the later first-round pick, and then you draft 2 more offensive linemen in the later rounds. To me, this win, it puts you out of the quarterback competition right now. So Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, probably gone. Let's just be honest here, they're probably gone. So now you're going to have to focus on wide receiver and offensive line. I think you can have a pretty decent team next year if everything goes to plan. If Shedeur Sanders continues to improve in the offseason, work on his decision-making, work on reading defenses, work on, seeing guys in extra coverage and then drop coverage when the defense, drops extra guys into coverage. because that's his bad habit. He also holds onto the ball too long. If he can do that, and the Browns get more weapons and a better offensive line, I think this team can really do stuff next year. I think they can. So that's all I wanted to say for right now. Let me see what you guys say in the chat. President of SLH9139 says, again, Sanders has potential, but he had a poor second half where he didn't drive the Browns down the field. That one pick to Sawyer was not his fault, but the one jackpot pass through has to be better. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And again, the thing with Shedeur is that his first half's always good. He seems to be cooking in the first half. The second half is where he has some issues. That's where the defense, adjusts. They make adjustments. They do different things. And again, he's a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks struggle with that some of the times. But, I think there was enough there in that first half to where you're like, man, he can be really good. There were some throws where you're just like, God, that's a really good throw. It's just in that second half, that's where he has to be better. And I feel like if he has a better offensive line and a better, receiving core, maybe he can be better and the Browns can be better in the future. Fat Even IJ says, great win, Shedeur Sanders and Cleveland Browns. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not great for the draft picks, but you'll go down by 2 spots or 3 spots, or I don't know what the hell's going on. You'll go down by 2 spots or 1 spot. So it's not like, you went from 3 to 8. You went down from 3 to 4. So again, doesn't do that much to you in the draft order, but it probably puts you out of contention at least for a quarterback if Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza decide to come out this year. But again, to me, I'm going to keep saying it. To me, this was a time where I think Shedeur Sanders showed enough to warrant a shot next year. This is where I said this. I said he has to prove more to me to get me to change my position on having him be the starter next year. That first half was very good. I'll just be honest. And to me, I was impressed enough to say, yeah, when he has an offensive line and more weapons, I think he can be pretty decent. I think he'll be pretty good. But he just needs that offensive line and those weapons. So we'll see. But again, just to finalize my thing, because we're going to be out of here in just a second. Shedeur has got to improve in the second half. That is my main concern right now with Shedeur Sanders. He is great in the first half. Those second half adjustments are a big issue. He does not do well coming out of the first half, coming out of halftime. He does not do well. It's a growing theme, or going theme, as the season has gone on. I don't know why he cannot, adjust correctly. I don't know why. But he's got to get better at those second half adjustments. I don't know why he struggles with the second half. But whatever defenses are doing to make adjustments to try and throw him off of his game, it's working. If he can get better at making adjustments himself to what the defense is giving him, if the Browns can get better at the offensive line and the wide receiver position, I think this team next year can be competitive. I'm not saying they're going to go to the playoffs next year, but if they can improve in these areas and Shedeur Sanders can improve, you can maybe win, I'd say 7 wins, 6, 7 wins next year. That's what you should be aiming for next season. If Shedeur Sanders continues to improve, if the offensive line improves, if, the wide receiver position improves with new weapons, if everything goes to plan, 6 or 7 wins next year should be the ultimate goal. And then the year after that, if Shedeur Sanders, let's say Shedeur Sanders falls flat on his face next year, well, then you can just go in and get another quarterback in 2027 with the top overall pick. and you can go out there with a better roster than what you had with Shedeur Sanders. Or Shedeur Sanders can take the next step and you guys win 8 games next year. And then you can go out and get another wide receiver or a defensive lineman or safety or whoever, whatever position of need that you have. So, to me, Shedeur Sanders, all the pressure is on Shedeur Sanders right now. The ball is in his court because he's shown enough to warrant a shot to be the starter next year. Because he's going to have competition. Deshaun Watson's going to be here next year, guys. Deshaun Watson's going to be trying to get, a starting job here. So he's going to have competition. I don't think Deshaun Watson's probably going to have a realistic shot at starting. I really hope not. But we got to be honest here. He's going to be here. He's going to try and start. He's going to be practicing. He's going to try and do some competition with them. All the pressure's on Shedeur to improve this offseason because there are some noticeable flaws in his game. I'm not saying that Shedeur Sanders is perfect. By no means. He's way far from perfect. But there has been enough that has been shown to me to warrant a look next year and say, yeah, maybe with some talent around him and some, a better supporting cast, maybe the Browns look way better than what they do now. So that's just my opinion. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We only need 14 more subscriptions. So 14 people. If you guys have not hit subscribe, hit the subscribe button. Okay, we only need 14 more subscribers by the end of this year. Okay, we're very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. Make sure you guys hit subscribe. Hit the like button. Helps us out in the algorithm. I'll see you